name is Philo Beckon, the Rabbi from Another Planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I came to a realization, I think last night, this morning, sometime very recently, that I am nearly ready, getting close to being ready. I think I am going to be ready to let my heart be broken once again by Doctor Who. So, let me explain what that means. So, when The Woman Who Fell to Earth aired, I've told the story more than once. I was really on board for Jodie, the Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall Doctor Who. I was excited for a change, and I think Doctor Who does thrive on change. Regeneration is change. And look, there was like 2 or 3 minutes when Jodie was first announced that I was worried that this was identity politics stunt casting. But then I dispelled that, really, because I had no real reason to distrust either Whittaker or Chibnall. They were very front and center. Whittaker especially was very front and center promoting the show, going to San Diego, engaging with the audience, being, generally speaking, quite lovely everywhere she went. So I was on board for it. And also I figured it worked on a thematic level, on a storytelling level. Because Capaldi's Doctor, by the time he regenerated, he wasn't sure he was going to regenerate. He wasn't sure if he wanted to go through it again. And by the time he makes that decision, I think he wanted a complete and total rebirth, a complete total change. So and that added in with much of I think the Capaldi era was defined by Michelle Gomez's Missy, who is I really think a definitive take on the Master. So first we had the Master becoming female and just working fantastically. If you haven't heard the Big Finish series that she's done, the Missy series, or she's in a few of them, they're really good. They're really, really, really good. I recommend them. That's a strong recommend, actually. And I think, and also I like that how she had like elements of all the Masters. I could see some Ainley, I could see some Delgado, I could see just the insanity of what's his name, Life on Mars bloke, John Sim. She very much convinced me she was a Master. So having that, and so much of the Capaldi era was taken up by their like very, I would say, intimate relationship. Well, they've known each other for thousands of years, and they are their oldest acquaintance or friends. I mean, how you want to look at it. So it makes sense that subconsciously that the Doctor, who I think loves the Master, and is ready for a complete and total change, and sees that one of his closest companions throughout his lives has made this change to be female. That I can see why it made sense. It made sense, organically, and I was on board for it. And the first episode, it wasn't so bad. Second episode, I thought was pretty good. The thing that should have been the pre-title sequence, when she's on the spaceship and she's jettisoning the bit, she sounded doctory at that point. I was like, it's going to be okay. But then, as it went on, like Rosa it's an episode design that you can't complain about, at least not at the time. It's taken a good year before people were going to go, it's a bit of a weak episode. And it's a bit of a weak episode. It really is. I think, obnoxiously, it uses both Martin Luther King and Dr. Martin Luther King, I should say. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Because, honestly, the man cannot be given enough respect. I think he's probably one of the most important figures in Western civilization. I would love to go to a parallel universe where in like 1974 or something he became president. I think he would have been. I think he was a fantastic leader, and it's a tragedy he was murdered. But I think they use Reverend Dr. Martin King and Rosa Parks as ornaments, to show off how progressive that the production team was, that Chris Chibnall was. I think that's and he didn't really get into anything. There was no story, really. You had the space races. So again, but again, you couldn't criticize it. Then we had Arachnis in the UK, the worst episode of Doctor Who ever. And I just want to reiterate, I've just rewatched season 23, Trial of the Time Lord, and that stuff's really awful. I paid for it. This is actually the second time I paid, maybe the third time I paid for it. not counting the license fee when it was first on. But it was truly awful. It really is. I can totally see why the show was axed. Anyway, that's not a review of that. Go check my review of Terror of the Vervoid. Anyway, but Arachnoid UK was and as the season went on, it didn't just confirm my worst fears. Those worst fears I had for 2 or 3 minutes when she was first announced. It exceeded them greater than I could. I couldn't even imagine it being this bad. Now, and I want to say, given that, and I love Doctor Who. You can look around. You can look around. You actually can't see the rest of my office, but there's Doctor Who everywhere. I think for Christmas. By the way, I think it's kind of fun that I'm a rabbi. I live in Samaria, in Israel and Samaria, and I love Christmas. My wife, my kids are always like, "Oh no, please stop!" But I do. I think Christmas is awesome. But I think for the Christmas special, Rabbi from Another Planet, I'll give you a tour of my office. As Doctor Who, literally toys everywhere. You can't. They're behind the camera. You can see up there the TARDIS, whatever. I love Doctor Who. I really, really love Doctor Who. I always have done. So my heart was broken, but because I love Doctor Who so much, that I'm going to try and get over and come to it afresh and think they've got their heads together and they've seen the problems and they're going to address them. So this is really an appeal to fans of season 11 to don't make things worse by attacking people like us. They're like people like me, which we represent a significant body of fans. Don't say we're incels. Don't say we're Nazis. Don't say we're racist. Don't say we're sexist. We're none of those things. Well, I guess you find those everywhere, but I think I have not met one yet that are any of those things. So, what was it that made me so upset? That broke my heart. That literally broke my heart about Doctor Who. So many things. Now, firstly, look, I should have got an indication when I saw the costume. Because firstly, it's very androgynous, and for God's goodness sake, if you're hiring a woman to play Doctor Who for the first time in 3 years, if it's going to be the first thing on Doctor Who, which you're very, very excited about, right? Make her feminine. I would have thought the character would want to explore being feminine after being male for thousands of years. That just make her feminine. I don't like this. This idea that men and women are interchangeable. They're interchangeable in terms of ability and being able to cope and do things. Yeah, they're not interchangeable in that they're not. Men and women are not the same. Men and women are fundamentally different on many, many, many levels. And as anybody who's married or been in a long-term relationship and or has male and female children knows, men and women are intrinsically different. And I think it's evil to try and make them be identical because we're not. And it's again. This is not. It's so ridiculous. I even have to say this. This is not to say that one sex is better than another. That's ridiculous. That's insane. What one sex is lost without the other, no matter what it is. We are not able to function as though we are half of a soul. I would say you need that's not. And again, that's not to say I don't think that that same-sex couples have loving relationships. Obviously they do, but I'm saying as a species, one sex needs the other sex. No sex is superior, and it's just ridiculous. So yeah, I should have got a clue. What really should have given me the clue is the rainbow on her chest, which is just it's so indicative of everything wrong with season 11. The rainbow on the chest is clearly signaling support for the transgender community, which is transgender. The transgender thing was a very big deal when they were. Well, that was the buzz thing at the time. Then when they were writing season 11, just like a few years earlier with Matt Smith, you had at the beginning of his second season this really incongruous moment where I can't remember the name of the guy. The guy's in all these genre things. He's the FBI agent talking to Nixon and saying that he wanted to marry this person he loved. And then he dropped the bombshell, it's a man! Which would, so that at the time that was written, same-sex marriages were in vogue, and it was just stupid because look, back in 1980, same-sex marriage was just wasn't a thing at all. It was farcical. It was like marrying a sheep or a carrot. You know, it was. And now again, I'm not. That's not to disparage same-sex marriage. I'm just saying I lived in the 80s and it didn't exist. It was a crazy notion. So transpose that to the 60s. So Doctor Who has had a bit of especially recently, has had a run of adopting very vogue, very fashionable causes and supporting them. So transgenderism. So okay, so this is just my message to, and this is where we starts off being divisive. It started off from like the first image of when you saw a costume. If you're transgender, I am more than happy to identify you in any way that you wish. If you're born male and you identify as female, I'll call you a woman. If you're born female and want to identify as male, I'll call you a man. I mean, even if it looks a little bit ridiculous, especially if you're transitioning from male to female, 9 times out of 10 you look like a guy wearing a wig. You look like you're a refugee from a Monty Python sketch. But even so, I don't mind. Like, I don't want to be a dick to you. I'll call you whatever you want. I'll call you. Now, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to believe that sex is fluid because I think for 99.9% of our species, through the entirety of our existence in the universe, that gender is not fluid. I think the science is pretty clear. I'm not going to ignore the science because it's fashionable to say it. I'm just not going to do it. So you can't dictate to me belief, and that's where it's divisive. You see, it was very subtle. That rainbow on your chest was saying that if you are not on board with transgenderism, because don't say it was in support of the lesbian, gay, or bi communities. Honestly, has anyone ever met anyone who doesn't like somebody because of their sexual orientation? I haven't. I mean, one sexual orientation really doesn't matter to me at all. It has like, do whatever you want to do. Live and let live. Honestly, do what you want to do. So, but again, look, in terms of there being two genders, okay. This is how fundamental it is to human society, to Western society. I think to humanity, it's one of the few areas where both science and biblical religion, coincide. It's pretty, they both are pretty unequivocal. That for the vast majority of people, there are two sexes. And listen, look, I'm a rabbi. I study this thing called the Talmud every day, which is it's called it is a written version of an oral law, which goes into the details of the laws presented in the Bible, and that very very clearly talks about. I would say quasi transgendered issues. It talks about hermaphrodites and people who are, you're not sure which sex they are. Was it androgynous? Yeah, it talks about a lot. So yes, those things are applicable, but that's the tiny minority. And I think reshaping our entire society around that is insane. So that was the first area of division, but still. I wasn't ready to accept that until week 5. I say, what was it? Or maybe even week 6, the Demons of the Punjab. And week 5 was just a really useless one with we also had a big transgender thing going on there with the Pating the guy, Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch meets the TARDIS. So. And I was going to say, the tragedy is this: I found the production design and the special effects fantastic. Music sounds like it meant to be played underwater for whales, but fine, okay, fine. So again, but I'm hoping against hope. They have realised that the audience is not buying. I mean, honestly, have you? There's no action figures for this. There was unbelievable amounts of merchandise before the Woman Who Fell Worth debut. I mean, absolutely zero. There's a rumored Graham figure supposed to come out in January. Still no Yaz, still no whatever his other name is. So here's the thing. when you take diverse ideological political positions, and you present them as non-diverse, and you put very normative right of center positions in the mouths of villains. Like even when you have Davros or the Daleks saying that that illegal immigration must be stamped out. Why don't you say like these really like very 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 normative positions and put them in the mouth? Like again, you had in Marvel Comics the Red Skull talking about just very very normative right of center policies. Yeah, it's just great. That's called being divisive. When you make jokes about how Brexit and how awful it is and how it destroyed UNIT, that's being divisive. When you have a villainous character clearly based on Donald Trump, that's being divisive. And I understand you live in a bubble where everybody hates everything you hate. Daisy Ridley from Star Wars just said, of course, everybody thinks that everybody hates Boris Johnson, for example, or everybody hates Donald Trump, or whoever voted for Donald Trump's crazy. That's not true. It's not everybody hates Boris Johnson. He looks like he's going to win this election on Thursday, quite decisively. So I think most people don't, most people are more okay with him than perhaps your immediate bubblers. So that's the thing. You've got to understand that your bubble is your bubble. Doctor Who appeals because it's so wonderful. It appeals to people in different bubbles as well, and so it's probably best to be non-divisive. But if you are going to be divisive, if you are going to take a political position, you better bring the goods and deliver a good story as well. And that's where you really broke my heart, Doctor Who. You really broke my heart that you had the storytelling was just dire. There was a post on the thread on Facebook recently about what would you do if you had to control season 11. So I said the first thing to do is stop being divisive. That's the second thing to do is change that bloody costume. Go for something more feminine because she's a woman doctor. Have her be a woman, for God's sake. Yeah. And the third thing, I wish I should have looked up my post because it was really a well written one. The third thing, have villains and make it exciting, and don't make it a vehicle to put forth your ideological propaganda, which is what season 11 was. And people who liked it, who happen to agree very strongly with that ideological propaganda, also like to pretend it didn't exist. No, it did exist. But even so, I'm willing to hope. I'm willing to hope against hope that they've realised that this is only working for people who are like the blue check marks on Twitter, not for real people. So Twitter's not real. As somebody who's not really on Twitter, I look at it peripherally. You got to understand. Twitter isn't like somebody can assault me on Twitter and I won't really care. Somebody can put the little clapping emoji in between each thing, each word on Twitter, and to me it's like a 3-year-old poking at me, going, "You're a Batman." It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So I think that's the crowd that Doctor Who's been made for. So okay, I want to make this so here's the thing. It's very hard. I'm trying to pretend that the entirety of season 11 was just a blip, a post-regenerative trauma, and we're going to have a Doctor be... Oh, that's the other thing. If you're having a female Doctor, why is she... Okay, this is really important. If you're going to have a female Doctor, it's a really bad idea to have her both be insanely patronising to everybody she meets and utterly clueless, which she is. Like, why on earth does she think that's a good way to play the character? Like, she talks down to everyone. And even in the clip they released recently, when Stephen Fry is saying, "Can you help us, Doctor?" And she's like saying, "Oh, but this doesn't make sense. This is impossible." She doesn't understand anything. She doesn't go, "Oh, yeah, look, this is the Nestine intelligence." She doesn't know anything. She's clueless and she's patronising. And while we're at it, please, 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 somebody get a stuntman, get a stunt team together and teach her how to run convincingly. That is a integral part of this role. I think another thing that they should really have done is get her to sit down and watch Doctor Who, because she clearly has utter disdain for it right now. She needs to go back and watch William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee. She's got to go back and do and see who this character is. Pick out the threads of this character and understand it. Because right now she doesn't understand what it is. Something else that she doesn't understand is the sonic screwdriver is a tool and not a tool which has very specific rules and laws on how you use it, and not a magic wand. Right now she's just like with it, like it's stupid. She's got to understand. Imagine it's a very complex remote control which you can control very, very subtly. It does things. Again, treating it like a magic wand. I think she even said that in one of her interviews. She just goes, "Oh, you just go," and it's like, no, it's a scientific tool. I understand it's a plot device, but you've got to keep the reality of it. And it was in the fifth episode, the one with the Ting, where she had this big monologue about how much she loves science, and then they have this really goofy, again, transgendered issued idea that they were the species of where males give birth to males and women give birth to women. No. For some reason, the whole left side of the cultural divide, the whatever they have a thing against family. I don't understand. Look, the truth is, the best way to create a good, functional, healthy human being that's a benefit to society and that will live an enriching life is through a family. Is through a mother and a father who love each other and will stay with each other, raising children and loving them and sacrificing for them, teaching them how to sacrifice and be good people. That is the best way. You raise people individually, one on one. I don't know why there's just like this hate. I think it's because they see it as a tool of the patriarchy or some other nonsense. And there's this other thing where they want to sexualize, like deeply sexualize children. I don't think it's a good idea to have drag queens in libraries reading for 5-year-olds. It's look, again, nothing against drag queens, nothing at all. But it's a deeply eroticized art form, and I think it has no place with children. I think doing that is child abuse. Equally, I think giving a 5-year-old puberty blockers because they decided they're transgender is child abuse. It's not progressive. That's evil. And that's the side the doctors came down on in season 11 of identity politics, which is pure racism, and in this transgender thing, which on the whole has very it's like no science to back it up. You've got to ignore science. You've got to get on board with this totalitarian thought police that even if you agree to be polite and say I'll name you however you want to be named, I don't mind. I like to be polite. Why not? It doesn't matter. If you do not think the way we do, you are cancelled. You are evil. You are wrong. And that's the side the doctor took, and it broke my heart. I'm telling you, genuinely, it did, because I wanted to love it, and it's just such a wasted opportunity. So I'm really hoping that I'm hoping they just don't make it too awful. Let's say they keep all the if they keep the obnoxious ideological agenda, they got to have good stories too. I mean, that kind of worked with the Dalek story, which was, I think, the least unsuccessful story of. Actually, no, I'll put that the third. I'll rank that number 3. The most successful story was the second one. What was it called again? The Ghost Monument. Second was The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Third was the Dalek one. And even that there was a big gulf between the two, and just everything else is unwatchable. I mean, I haven't watched any. I have no desire to watch anything. I didn't buy the Blu-ray or the DVDs this year because I'm not going to. I'm not going. Also, they put it in two. They made it like $50 for 11 episodes. Yeah, no, forget it. It's not happening. It did it in 2 releases. It's just insane. The entirety of season 11 was very much trading on people's love of Doctor Who, and say you love Doctor Who, so you must love this. And we would have loved it had you made a good show, but you didn't. You made an awful piece of trash. But I'm willing to put that behind me. That's my point to Jodie Van. I'm willing to put that behind me and just go into it with an open mind, because I think I'm one of the fewer people who on my side of the fence willing to do that. Most people are going into it expecting you to be awful again. So, and you know, the problem with my approach is, I'm just gonna, if I'm going into open mind, I'm going to I'm probably going to get my heart broken again, and you're going to get a lot of very angry people, this day, and you know, I would really recommend, don't pour fuel on the fire by calling them Nazis and Istovos, which they're clearly not. Let me know what you think. It's been a long video, 25 minutes. Let me know what you think. My name is Svi Lebeck, and the Rabbi from Another Planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ring the bell so you're notified when new videos drop. Leave me a comment. I always try and get back to comments. It's the good thing about having a small channel. You know, you don't have so many comments to keep up with. And I think that's all there is to say on the matter. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.